was starting out in, I didn't have a budget at that point. And I think I was starting out in my career, starting out at that point. So yeah, I didn't have a budget or anything like that. Well, in order for me to make the dues monthly, of course I had to shift some funds over so that, you know, I can make the monthly dues and so that I can be an asset to the club in some ways.
At the time, I had a job. I wouldn't say that I was starting off in my career. Even though I am a college educated woman, I just didn't have like the grandest job. I didn't make $100 an hour by any means. When we first started, I could only afford $20 a month. And I felt bad about that. I was like, oh my God, I can only afford $20 a month at this time. How am I gonna get to riches? If I'm gonna get to riches with $20, it's gonna be real slow or never. So it was tough for me mentally because I had to put investing as a category for that money that was coming in every 2 weeks. So if you want to invest, okay, I knew I had to be intentional with my money. I couldn't get paid every 2 weeks, spend up all my money on makeup or fast food or, you know, going shopping every day. No, I had to temper myself. I had to challenge myself, temper myself, and then I had to find some good financial integrity to say that I'm gonna put $20 no matter what a month from those 2 paychecks, which like I said, at one point that was all I could do. But it did something to me. It let me know that even though I didn't have a lot, that my little over time was gonna build something for me. And then those who $20 became $50, maybe the $50 became $75. And then we inch your way up into $100. You know, I just grew.
So at the time, I was a graduate student. So, you know, I didn't really have that much money, right? You know, the money was going towards paying for my tuition. But the idea, I was gonna make a way no matter what, right? So even if I didn't have like that much money, you know, I was gonna make a way to make that money every month, that dues every month, right? So my financial situation was, you know, I was just a college girl, you know, a little broke college girl. You know, I had to be diligent when it came to budgeting because at the time, like I was, like I said, you know, a grad student, money was going towards tuition and everything else. So I had to make a way out of my budget so that, you know, I can make those monthly payments, right? So I had to be keen when it came to like budgeting.
2015, I was working full time. I had no benefits. I had no retirement. I was making a minimum wage, and it was like I'm making just enough to live, right? Like you know, sometimes they take retirement money out of your check, and I didn't even have that. Like I had no investments, I had no assets, and I knew that I should be saving, and I didn't even have any savings. Like I was broke. I had just graduated, got my first job. Ooh, look, I can finally buy groceries. My mindset around money, which equated to how I spent my money. And, you know, it was this thing where, you know, we were taught to tithe, we were taught to give, we were taught to honor God in our finances. And in order for me to be an investor, I had to first be conscious, you know, that He owns everything. All the real assets, God owned them, you know. And then I had to prioritize, you know, first you give and then you pay yourself. And you pay yourself by investing. And so that changed my money habits, right? Like having to budget to give and to pay myself first and then pay bills after that. Like it was a complete mindset shift.
I was out of college, bachelor's degree, probably 4 or 5 years to my first quote unquote real job. And I mean, I was making a little bit of change, you know what I'm saying? I made a little corner, just a little bit. But like I said, it was like your first real job. And so, you do what everybody do. You know, you pay bills. You save, but you pay bills. And so tracking your spending and living on a budget was the first thing that developed. Now, I done fell off and got back on and fell off and got back on and fell off and got back on multiple times because it depends on the financial situation at the time. You know, and then we start learning to leverage debt, and Lord have mercy. So, but the habit is the budgeting mindset, and that investing is for everybody.